Good evening, viewers. This is the QTV Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM, and I am Mamna Buka. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. President Adama Barrow on Thursday welcomed President Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema of Gabon to the Gambia for a 4-day state visit, the first by the Gabonese leader since taking office in May 2025. President Barrow this evening presided over the swearing-in of the Gambia's new Chief Justice Idrissa Emo Fall, succeeding Justice Hassan B. Jallow. As part of its mechanism to upgrade higher education and drive national transformation, the Tertiary and Higher Education Trust Fund is set to hold a pledge-a-thon to rally public-private investments and secure critical funding for academic institutions. The Gambia Transport Service Company, GTSC, has begun transporting pilgrims to the 2026 Grand Magal in Touba, Senegal, with the first of 2 buses departing on Friday. In sports news, Gambian sprinter Nyimasata Jaune's impressive run at the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games came to an end on Thursday, as she was eliminated at the semi-final stage of the women's 200 meters. Those were the headlines. Coming up next, the news in detail. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Now, President Adama Barrow on Thursday welcomed President Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema of Gabon to the Gambia for a 4-day state visit, the first by the Gabonese leader since taking office. The visit signals a renewed commitment to closer ties, with both countries seeking to expand cooperation across key sectors. Usman Jatta reports.
A colorful display of Gambian culture and tradition welcomed President Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema as he arrived at the Banjul International Airport for his first state visit to the Gambia. Government officials, diplomats and traditional performers gathered to receive the visiting head of state, while music and dance created a festive atmosphere ahead of his arrival. President Adama Barrow, accompanied by senior government officials and cabinet ministers, received his Gabonese counterpart on the airport tarmac. The 2 leaders exchanged greetings before proceeding to the official welcome ceremony. The national anthems of the Gambia and Gabon were played before President Barrow and Oligui Nguema jointly inspected a guard of honor mounted by the Republican Guards of the Gambia Armed Forces. The 2 presidents later held a brief tete-a-tete at the VVIP lounge before President Oligui Nguema departed for the Coco Ozone Resort and Spa, where he is staying during his visit. Supporters lined sections of the OIC highway, waving flags as the presidential motorcade made its way to the hotel. At the resort, members of the Gabonese community in the Gambia and well-wishers gave the visiting president another warm welcome. On Friday, the 2 leaders met at State House for bilateral talks before chairing an expanded meeting between their 2 respective delegations. Discussions focus on strengthening cooperation in trade, investment, agriculture, infrastructure, education, health and regional affairs.
Gabon and the Gambia may sit at different ends of our continent, but we are bound by the shared belief that the destiny of our people lies in our own hands.
L'ouverture d'un consulat de Gambie à Libreville.
I will welcome today the opening of a Gambian consulate in Libreville. This important development, together with the 4 agreements we are about to sign, reflects the excellence of our bilateral cooperation. The visit also saw the signing of 4 key agreements to strengthen relations between the 2 countries. The Gambia's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. A. Jallow, Gabon's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation, signed the agreements on behalf of their respective governments.
Both heads of states agreed to facilitate the movement of Gabonese and Gambian officials to and from both countries by signing an agreement on reciprocal visa exemption for holders of diplomatic and service passports. The 2 heads of state agreed to continue negotiations and sign bilateral agreements and protocols in areas of mutual interest such as trade, investment, agriculture, health.
Examiner la coopération bilatérale.
The two heads of state reviewed bilateral cooperation and identified new areas of partnership.
Beyond official meetings, President Oligui Nguema toured several national institutions, development projects and tourist sites, including the National Food and Drug Quality Control Laboratory in Brusubi, the University of the Gambia's Faraba campus, the National Emergency Treatment Center in Farato, and the Kachikali Crocodile Pool in Bakau. President Barrow hosted a state banquet in honor of the visiting leader, celebrating the growing friendship between the two nations. President Oligui Nguema first assumed office as Gabon's traditional head of state in September 2023, before being elected president in April 2025 and sworn into office in May that year. The Gabonese president is visiting various West African nations and, having arrived here from Ghana, is scheduled to head to Sierra Leone on leaving the Gambia. His first state visit to the Gambia marks a significant milestone in relations between Banjul and Libreville, if both governments committed to translating diplomatic goodwill into practical cooperation that benefits their people. Osman Jata, QTV News.
President Barrow this evening presided over the swearing-in of the Gambia's new Chief Justice Idrissa Fall, succeeding Justice Hassan B. Jallow. The president described the ceremony as reaffirmation of the country's commitment to an independent, impartial and effective judiciary. Alusise reports.
Idrissa Fall, having been appointed as Chief Justice of the Republic of the Gambia, do swear that I will execute the functions of the office without fear or favor, affection or ill will, according to the Constitution and other laws of the Gambia, so help me God.
A solemn oath of office, allegiance and secrecy at the State House in Banjul, attended by Vice President His Excellency Mohamed B. S. Jallow, outgoing Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow, the Justice Minister, members of the judiciary and family members, marks a new era for the Gambia's judiciary. Justice Fall succeeds Justice Hassan B. Jallow, who retires after a long tenure marked by judicial reforms and institutional rebuilding. With over 4 decades of legal experience, the new Chief Justice now takes charge over the judiciary at a time of heightened public interest in justice sector reform and constitutional governance. Justice Idrissa Fall promises to build on the successes of his predecessor with a focus on the timely delivery of justice and the modernization of the judiciary. He pledged to always follow the law and not to be swayed by any external influence.
Justice must be administered according to law and not according to public opinion, not according to public sentiment or the preferences of any interest group in society.
Chief Justice Fall brings extensive international legal experience. He holds a Master's of Law from University College London, a Barrister at Law qualification from Middle Temple, a Juris Doctor from California, and a Bachelor of Science from Florida International University. He has also taught law at the University of Southern California. He has handled civil and criminal cases, including financial crimes, civil rights disputes, and international arbitration. More recently, he was involved in a landmark case which was settled in July this year in international arbitration in favor of the Gambian government, annulling an order against it, which had grown to approximately $33 million. President Barrow described the appointment as a moment of major constitutional significance, while urging the new Chief Justice to uphold judicial independence and build on the reforms of his predecessor. He said Fall was selected following what he described as a thorough process, citing his academic and professional qualifications.
The office requires relevant intellectual distinction, impeccable professional integrity, and the moral courage to decide cases without fear or partiality.
President Barrow also paid special tribute to the outgoing Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow following a tenure he described as transformative.
These reforms have transformed the Gambian judiciary into a much stronger, much more modern, and much more credible sector than they found it. And more achievements. Under Chief Justice Jallo's leadership, the judiciary successfully handled over 9,000 new cases in 2025 alone.
First appointment has also sparked national debate. The Gambia Bar Association has raised concerns over his eligibility under constitutional requirements, while others strongly defend his qualifications and experience. The GBA has today filed an action before the Supreme Court challenging the constitutional validity of the appointment. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Sise.
As part of its mechanism to upgrade higher education and drive national transformation, the Tertiary and Higher Education Trust TED Fund is set to hold a pledge-a-thon to rally public-private investments and secure critical funding for academic institutions. More in this report.
The pledge-a-thon is a national call initiated by the TED Fund, a national call to corporations, companies, diaspora members to basically get them invest and understand education. So it's a call for a financial pledge to the TED Fund and the work it is that we're doing.
That was Kumbel Good, the Director of Infrastructure and Strategic Partnerships for the Tertiary and Higher Education Trust Fund, on what the pledge-a-thon encompasses, highlighting its role in driving a strategic shift towards sustainable, self-reliant financing for the country's academic future. Under the theme Building Tomorrow One Pledge at a Time, the initiative launches with a strong financial foundation already in place. The government has committed $50 million to the trust, further bolstered by a $5 million anchor contribution from Q Group Chairman Mohamed Jah, who is also the TED Fund's board chair. Putting this into perspective, Kumbel Good shed light on when the pledge-a-thon will happen and what it will entail.
Saturday, August 1st, is the pledge-a-thon, and we'll have it live on QTV and GRTS as well. And the format it will be taking is we'll be in the studio, we'll get a chance to talk about the TED Fund, but we'll also get an opportunity to invite these pledgers into the studio, maybe not all of them, but most of the pledgers into the studio, to just share the amount, make a public declaration of the amounts that they're contributing to investing in through the TED Fund, but to also get an opportunity to explain why they're investing into education. And hopefully that will get people to understand that education is not just the government's work, but it's all our work.
When asked if whether the pledges are limited only to public and private institutions, Kumbel had this to say.
Everybody is welcome. You can reach out to us on info@tedfund.gm. We'll explain the methods for which you can contribute, but we are not limiting it to anybody. This initial call is of course to institutions, but if individuals do want to come on board, they are very highly welcome.
Kumbel expanded on how the capital raised will be strictly channeled into 4 development pillars.
The first is to support our apprenticeship and internship program of 100 students. The other is to support capacity development initiatives for 10 instructors in TVET institutions. The other is to provide foundational institutional strengthening for 13 institutions that fall under our mandate. And finally is to provide digital infrastructural support for institutions, TVET institutions mainly.
On the issue of transparency, Kumbel was firm on its importance and outlined the structures in place to safeguard public trust.
For us to be transparent, the best way to do it is to come out publicly and say this is how much we have raised. And of course, even during the implementation, we'll be producing what we call an impact report to just show our progress and where the funds raised have been invested into. So this could be towards the end of the year where we would have progressed in terms of our projects, and we will share out this impact report with the general public and the pledgers.
As the grand event approaches this Saturday, organizers emphasize that the movement doesn't end when the broadcast stops. Pledges will remain open after Saturday, inviting all Gambians, friends of Gambia and international partners to contribute to reshaping the nation's academic future, and by extension, the nation's sustainable development. Mam Nabuka, reporting for QTV News. That story will take us on a commercial break. When we return, we have more national, international, and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
In today's world, speed matters, but slow internet can hold you back. Now, the future of connectivity has arrived in the Gambia. QCell's Q-Fiber, ultra-fast, ultra-reliable internet designed for the way you live. Stream your favorite shows without buffering. Power your business with seamless video calls. Study, work, and play online like never before. From homes to businesses, QCell Fiber is connecting the Gambia to the future. QCell's Q-Fiber. Get connected today. Call 145 or 300-3779. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News and I am Mamna Buka. Now on to the rest of our stories. The Gambia Transport Service Company, GTSC, has begun transporting pilgrims to the 2026 Grand Magal in Touba, Senegal, with the first of 2 buses departing on Friday for one of West Africa's largest annual religious gatherings. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
More than 100 passengers departed in 2 buses at the GTSC depot in Kanifing to the 2026 Grand Magal of Touba, scheduled to be observed on Sunday, 2nd August 2026. Fatoumata, a regular attendee of the annual Grand Magal of Touba, explains why she always chooses to travel on GTSC buses.
I have been traveling by GTSC bus since 2023. And it has been a great experience. The journey is comfortable because you can travel directly from here without having to change buses along the way. The drop-off point is also close to where I usually stay. Traveling by bus is much easier, and passengers can also bring back items they purchased during their stay. Overall, it has been a good experience for me.
Since 2023, GTSC has been providing bus services for passengers traveling to the Grand Magal. Over the years, the company has transported thousands of people between the Gambia and Senegal, making the annual gathering more convenient and accessible. Amadou Drame, Director of Traffic Operations at GTSC, outlined the measures the company has put in place this year to ensure passengers enjoy safe, smooth and comfortable journey.
One of it is the GTSC management task, the engineering department, the technical department, to check all the buses that are going, from their braking systems to the tires and everything else. And then also part of the journey, we have engineers that are going with the passengers as a convoy. In case of any emergency, they would be able to respond.
Mbake Suare, one of the GTSC drivers transporting pilgrims to the Grand Magal, explains the company's top priorities when transporting passengers.
GTSC drivers are trained to drive safely and ensure the safety of our passengers. We strictly observed all traffic regulations and drive with care throughout the journey. We do not speed or drive recklessly. Our top priority is to make sure every passenger arrives at their destination safely.
Established in 2013, GTSC provides safe, reliable, and affordable transportation services in the Gambia and beyond. Over the years, the company has introduced various initiatives aimed at improving customer convenience and enhancing the overall travel experience. Among these initiatives is its digital transformation program, which saw the introduction of the Tamu card in 2024. The Smart Travel card allows passengers to tap in and out of vehicles seamlessly, with fares automatically deducted based on their journeys. As part of its cooperative social responsibilities, GTSC also continues to give back to its customers by distributing iftar meals during the holy month of Ramadan each year, among other services. GTSC officials say the company remains committed to providing reliable, safe and comfortable transportation services through the use of modern and environmentally friendly buses, while continuing to improve the travel experience for its customers. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafatu Gay.
Coming up next is international news. Now, a strong call for deeper collaboration, sustained political commitment and strategic partnerships today concluded a 2-day high-level ECOWAS Women's Political Leadership Forum in Abuja, Nigeria. Here is Loli M. Kamara.
Held from July 30th to 31st, the forum brought together leaders and stakeholders from across West Africa to identify practical measures to accelerate implementation of the ECOWAS agenda for gender equality by 2035 and increasing women's participation in political leadership. Senior government officials, parliamentarians, representatives of regional institutions, development partners, women's organizations, and civil society actors converged to discuss how to advance gender parity in political leadership across West Africa. co-organized by the ECOWAS Commission, the Federal Government of Nigeria, the African Union, the African Women Leaders Network, AULIN, and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. The forum focused on accelerating the implementation of the ECOWAS Presidential Declaration on strengthening women's representation in political leadership. Welcoming participants, Her Excellency Hajia Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, Nigeria's Minister of Women's Affairs, speaking on behalf of the federal government and the people of Nigeria, described the gathering as both timely and significant. She commended the African Women Leaders Network, ECOWAS, UNDP, and other partners for creating a platform to advance women's political participation and strengthen inclusive governance across the region.
Although women constitute over 50% of West African population, their representation in political decision-making remains disproportionately low, with the regional average of women in national parliament still below 20. Against this backdrop, this forum provides a strategic platform to translate the Presidential Declaration on gender parity in political representation from aspiration into measurable action, making gender-responsive leadership a defining legacy of the ECOWAS at 50.
Delivering the keynote address, the Vice President of the ECOWAS Commission, Her Excellency Damtin El Chinchebija, called for the accelerated implementation of the Presidential Declaration on strengthening women's representation in political leadership, adopted by ECOWAS heads of states and government. She described the declaration as a historic commitment and one of the most enduring legacies of ECOWAS as the regional bloc marks its 50th anniversary.
The adoption of both the Pact of the Future of Regional Integration and the Presidential Declaration demonstrated the intentionality of our leaders in charting a more inclusive and people-centered course for the future of our regional integration.
Over the course of the two-day forum, participants examined the strategies to strengthen legislative and policy frameworks, build more inclusive institutions, promote greater participation of women in politics and decision-making, and enhance regional cooperation. The deliberations are expected to produce actionable recommendations that will reinforce ECOWAS' efforts to advance inclusive governance, strengthen democratic institutions, and foster sustainable development throughout West Africa. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Next, we'll have sports news. Now, Gambian sprinter Nyimasata Jaune's impressive run at the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games came to an end on Thursday as she was eliminated at the semi-final stage of the women's 200 meters. Our sports reporter Momodo Gajaga watched it all at the Scotscom Stadium in Glasgow, and he now reports.
Commonwealth Games debut, Nyimasata Jaune had given the Gambia a glimmer of hope for a long-for-track medal at these games after advancing from the heats on Wednesday. The young sprinter clocked 23.74 seconds in her heat to secure one of the fastest loser spots, becoming the only Gambian athlete to progress in what was a difficult day that saw her teammates disqualified and eliminated. In Thursday's semi-final, despite her efforts, an improved timing of 23.71 seconds, facing some of the fastest women's 200-meter runners in the Commonwealth Games, proved a step too far. She finished 7th in a race won by Adeja Hodge of the British Virgin Islands, who set a new Games record of 22.01 seconds. Despite missing out on a place in Friday's final, the experience on the track at Scotscom Stadium, in a difficult condition and against world-class opposition, will be invaluable for the young Gambian. All hopes of a medal are not yet over, as there is one more competition for the Gambia's track athletes, with the women's 4x100 meters relay event to come. The relay team is scheduled to run in the second heat on Saturday, the 1st of August, and have been handed a tough task, being drawn against a strong field, which includes England, Jamaica, Nigeria, amongst others. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News, Glasgow, Scotland.
The report by Mumudu Gajaga brings us to the end of this bulletin, but before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. President Adama Barrow on Thursday welcomed President Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema of Gabon to the Gambia for a 4-day state visit, the first by the Gabonese leader since taking office in May 2025. President Barrow this evening presided over the swearing-in of the Gambia's new Chief Justice Idrissa Emofal, succeeding Justice Hassan B. Jallow. As part of its mechanism to upgrade higher education and drive national transformation, the Tertiary and Higher Education Trust Fund is set to hold a pledge-a-thon to rally public-private investment and secure critical funding for academic institutions. The Gambia Transport Service Company, GTSC, has begun transporting pilgrims to the 2026 Grand Magal in Touba, Senegal, with the first of 2 buses departing on Friday. In sports news, Gambian sprinter Nyimasata Jaune's impressive run at the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games came to an end on Thursday as she was eliminated at the semi-final stage of the women's 200 meters. That's all for this bulletin. Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another bulletin. Thank you for watching.